I would like to thank Dr. Ashoke Priyadarshana for being here. He is a psychologist at the University of Visual Arts from Colombo, Sri Lanka. Today, we will be talking about having a conversation regarding integrating integrating technology and culturally sensitive counseling methods. And our main idea will be digital mental health. So, Dr. Priyadarshana, if you could start us off with your conversation and what you have to say.
Thanks a lot for introducing me, and thanks a lot for inviting me as well. And good day to you all, wherever you are in the world. And this is going to be a very important session, and I guess everybody will be interested in listening to these types of discussions. We got to keep moving, and we got to keep discussing about these topics as well. So, talking about mental health, before actually I continue my discussion, I would like to share some of my slides so that it would be very easy for you to move on with my discussion. Now, talking about wellness and well-being, of course, the first thing that comes to our mind is the definition of WHO. WHO says that wellness is not just the mere absence of illnesses, but it focuses on different aspects of human life. Even when you focus on yourself, and there are certain aspects that you need to focus on physical well-being, psychological well-being, social well-being, and there is another important aspect, that is spiritual well-being, which is not much discussed in the field of science nowadays. But certain theories in science, even that I mean, certain theories, they stress um, on the importance of being focused on the spiritual aspect as well. So you will find some evidence for that as well. Talking about these aspects, Buddha has also mentioned how important it is to be focused on these areas in this particular Pali Sutta, Pali stanza rather. Arogya Paramalabha Santutti Paramandanam. Arogya Paramalabha in the sense physical well-being, right? Your physical well-being. So Santutti Paramandanam. Santutti Paramandanam in the sense your psychological well-being. Now, as we know, your mind and body, they are interconnected. If you are in trouble, if you have some difficulties in your mind, if a problem is going on in your mind, it has an effect on your physical body as well, and that can be seen, that can be experienced through a physical body as well. So even there are certain biochemical changes in your body according to your emotions, according to your thoughts. So you see, there is a relationship between your mind and body. Now, even when you are listening to me, a lot of thoughts would come to your mind, and they just pass around. And thoughts do not come alone. Thoughts come with emotions, right? And when thoughts keep coming, certain physiological changes, certain biological changes do take place. So which means, you see, there is a relationship between your mind and body. Even Buddha is explaining this analogically. In Nalakalapa Sutta, there is a sutta. Suttas are just like formulas. So you have heard of formulas. Suttas are just like formulas, because formulas are there for us to experiment, not to learn them by heart, right? Learning them by heart will not benefit you at all, right? So you have to practice them. Buddha is always focusing on practice, practice, and practice, right? Vijja charana, what you have learned should be implemented. Otherwise, there is no point. So in that case, what the Buddha has preached should be practiced. Here, of course, in my discussion, so my ambition, my target, and your target should be this practice. Okay. Now, physical and psychological well-being. Now, Buddha mentions analogically how mind and body are interconnected. As if two sets of bamboos leaning against each other, our mind and body are interconnected, right? Even, for example, we'll say, now if you have a physical illness, that has a psychological impact as well. That has a psychological outcomes as well. So you see, there is a relationship between these two. Now, this particular sutta comes to my mind that is called Kokalika Sutta. In Kokalika Sutta, a bhikkhu named Kokalika was suffering from a skin rash, skin disease. It was because of his anger. Now, according to modern science, when you experience anger, cortisol is on the rise. Now, you have heard of cortisol, right? When the level of cortisol is on the rise, and that would result in certain skin rashes as well as dermatological issues. So if you want to in say health psychology also, we tend to focus on that. If you want to reduce it, yes, of course you can take medicine, that's a different story. But if you have a control over your anger, and your whole biochemical system could be changed as well. Now in that sense, you will see the relationship between your mind and body. Next one is social well-being, which means the relationship that you have with other individuals. Now when it comes to model digital era, now Gen Z is known the digital natives, right? You all are digital natives, of course. Even for us, of course, you can't keep your mobiles and apparatus and things away from you, because it has been just a part of your body even, right? So in that case, technology has been uh, one of our closest friends. But of course, when you associate with this friend, you have to be very careful. Okay, that is the thing. So when it comes to social well-being, now according to social psychology, we say uh, there are two types of communities in the world. One is this individualistic, and the other one is collectivistic, which means that most of the time collectivist cultures, in the sense, people get together when it is needed, when people have certain issues and etc. People get together and help each other. For example, Sri Lanka and Asian countries, people get together when it is needed. But when it comes to individualistic countries, individualistic societies, where people tend to be isolated in most cases, right? They just focus on I mean, they tend to be isolated, and they have limited relationship with others and etc. But with the advent of, we'll say, technology and social media, yeah, it's true that you get connected with other individuals. Social support is there, perhaps, the social connectedness is there. But the problem is whether this is actual, right? That is indeed another thing, whether this is real, right? That is something that you have to focus on as well. And last but not least, Buddha has emphasized on this particular area, which is non-spiritual, or you say Nibbhanam Paramansukam, spiritual aspect, which can be defined as a metacognitive aspect, right? Metacognitive aspect in the sense like your awareness and mindfulness. I think Dharana, you mentioned about mindfulness, right? So mindfulness has been a part of this. The opposite of mindfulness is mindlessness, right? So you see there is a difference between mindfulness and mindlessness. So you can focus on yourself and see whether you are mindful or mindless, right? So mindfulness, in the sense, just like a light that you switch on inside a dark room. So awareness is something like that. So mindfulness has to be there in your physical development, in your psychological development, as well as social development. In that case, the spiritual development or the awareness or the mindfulness is on the top. You get my point, right? It's on the top all the time. So it has to be there. That's why Buddha says Nibbana Paramansukam. So one cannot attain Nibbana at once. It will not happen, overnight. So you need to, gradually move on. That's the way it happens. But you don't have to go that much far. But what I intend here is switch on your light, like awareness, mindfulness, not mindlessness, especially when you are dealing with apparatus, modern day apparatus. Now of course you are full of data, right? And the world is full of data. AI is there, and ChatGPT is there, and many things as such, right? You are more comfortable with that, and also you are really good at using those stuff. You are better than me, actually. Now, when it comes to your thought, because Buddha always says, mind is the forerunner. Mano pubbanga madamma. Mind is the phone. Mind is the key, right? And the thoughts that come to your mind, just can you guess the number of thoughts that come to your mind, right? Can you guess? You have any idea?
A lot, not like numerical, just a lot.
Yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard, but approximately, scientifically speaking, 78,000 or 80,000 thoughts do come to our mind per day for someone who is healthy. For a healthy person would experience approximately 80,000 of thoughts, right? So thoughts keep arising. Even in this moment when you are listening to me, thoughts keep arising. Yes or no? And can you stop your thoughts? Can you stop thinking? It's really hard, right? Okay, so it's really hard for us to stop thinking. It's not easy. Now, when they keep coming, when they keep moving to your mind, they don't come alone. They come with emotions. They come with emotions. Now, suppose that you might be having some feelings now, different types of feelings, right? Whatever you feel is driven by your thought. You get my point, right? So whatever you feel is driven by your thought, which means thoughts are behind your feelings, right? If you change your thoughts, what will happen? You will change your feelings. Do you understand? If you change your thoughts, you can change your feelings. In the meantime, you tend to behave. Now, just there is a problem whether we behave mindfully or not. Sometimes you just do things. Now in the morning you brush your teeth and you go to washroom and etc. How does it happen? It happens with intention or mechanically. Yeah, in most cases, in neurologically, it happens mechanically, right? You just go there and you just do it like this, right? You wash your face and etc. It happens. It has been a habit. Now, it has been a neurological habit. It's there. So, which means you just tend to or you behave mechanically. So, Buddha is explaining us, or Buddha is asking us not to do in that way. Whatever you do, whatever you say should be under that particular light awareness, should be under your awareness. Do you understand what I say? It should be under your awareness so that, and as a result of that, it will help you to stay away from maladaptive behavior. For example, nowadays, when people are stressed, right, they tend to be engaged in certain unwanted or maladaptive behavior. I should say maladaptive behaviors. Even scrolling, you know about scrolling, right? Tend to scroll, and we'll say some individuals tend to be addicted to it, and some people are dependent on scrolling and internet and etc. And some people use different drugs as well, and tobacco and etc. So in order to cope with stress, they are engaged in a particular behavior, right? Even scrolling, even when you're using social media and etc. To get rid of your stress, you are engaged in certain activities such. Okay, that's why even social media is categorized, or using social media can result in certain addictions and certain issues as such because of that. Now when you are using those stuff, especially scrolling down or maybe using tobacco, using certain other substances as such. So your level of dopamine is on the rise. Dopamine is responsible for your happiness. But what you don't see is the damage done by this particular behavior. Get my point, right? The damage done by this particular behavior, especially when you're scrolling down, the damage done to your brain and your day-to-day functioning, you can find a lot of research paper on that, right? You can find a lot and lots of research papers on that. You can see the heading of this slide is wandering mind is an unhappy mind. This is a topic of one of the research papers recently released. right? Now you can understand what it is. Wandering mind is an unhappy mind, yes or no? Because your mind is always going back and forth. It is stuck in the future or it's stuck in the past. So that is where you experience depression and anxiety. Is it right? When you tend to focus on your future a lot, what happens? What is the emotion that you experience? You focus on your future.
Well, you tend to be stuck there and not here, so you tend to worry about the future rather than in the living in here. So it's worry and anxiety
Exactly.
as well.
Exactly. And that can be pathological too. That is called pathological fear. So that results in anxiety. You get my point? Now, when you tend to focus on your past, some people tend to live in their past, right? And that is called pathological sadness. The more you live in the past, the more you become depressed. So depression is all about your past, anxiety is all about your future. So you see the mind, the wandering mind is always an unhappy mind. And that is why we say it focuses on your future and it focuses on your past as well. So, and to get rid of these difficulties, some people tend to focus on certain aspects, like I said, scrolling down and tobacco and certain other substances and so forth. And now you see the damage done by that. So what the Buddha is asking us to do is to focus on yourself first. There is this sutta called Roga Sutta. Now, Roga means illnesses. Roga means illnesses, right? Even the single meaning is illnesses, roga. Now there are two types of illnesses. One is physical, the other one is psychological. Now Buddha says one would live for even 100 years without any physical ailments, but it is really hard for us to find a person who is free from mental difficulties, right? Okay, which means all of us, including you and me, because all the time we are full of these emotions, we are full of these unnecessary unwanted thoughts, right? As a result of that, even talking about medically, you tend to be sick, right? You will fall sick, and you will be engaged in some maladaptive behaviors, and things could happen as such. So what the Buddha is always focusing on, getting rid of your mental difficulties, mental sickness, psychological difficulties. Get my point? Now, the definition of psychological illnesses according to Western psychology is more different than the explanation given by Buddhism. There are differences, right? There are differences. You cannot, compare these two together, right? Of course, when it comes to Western explanation, says that when you just pass this mark only, you will be having certain psychological difficulties. But Buddhism, according to Buddhism, things are more different than that. You understand? Even if you have questions, you can ask me as well, right? No problem at all. Okay. So Buddha is asking us to focus on yourself. Now there is another sutta. So suttas are just like what? Formulas. Don't forget that. Huh? Suttas are just like formulas. They are for us to experiment. What is the experimental unit? This is it. You are the experimental
Physical?
unit. You are your mind and body. You are the experimental unit, nothing else. Now there is this sutta called Rohitassa Sutta. Rohitassa Sutta tells us you don't have to go out there to find the truth. Even as scientists, what we try to do is that you just go out to find out the truth. But here the Buddha says, here, focus on yourself. Turn the camera towards yourself, right? Turn the light towards yourself. Be mindful, be aware of yourself, right? Then Buddha says, you will find what the truth is in this fathom long body. You don't have to go that much far. So in that case, I invite you to do the same. Focus on yourself. Whatever you do, whatever that comes to your mind, whatever you are engaged in, doesn't matter. First, look at yourself. Look at your mind and body. Be aware of your mind and body. That's it. That's what Rohita Sutta says. That's what Buddha says. It's not, it's not rocket science, right? It's not rocket science, right? It's not difficult for you to understand. It's really easy. But, it could be one of the hardest things to do, right? Being focused on yourself, because you tend to focus on others. Now, there is this, the particular, we'll say, a formula. Once again, you can see below. Now, when you are in contact with something, okay, for example, mobile phone, okay, social media, okay, your electronic apparatus or whatever you use. Now, when you see, you have certain feelings. Ah, wow. Perception. Okay, this makes me feel good. Okay, you see that you have some sort of perception. You have some sort of conceptual. You have some sort of concept. You have some sort of an idea about the apparatus that you use, which means because of the perception, because of your thinking pattern, you are engaged in something. Get my point? Now, for example, we'll say someone is using tobacco. Okay, someone is using, or someone tends to, a person tends to scroll down, scrolling, tend to be engaged in scrolling for sometimes. And why does the person, or why is the person engaged in that? Why? Because it feels,
good, or it
yeah, it
distracts
feels
them.
good. Yeah, it feels good. Now, what will happen to the level of dopamine?
It will rise.
It will rise, right? So, what do you have to do to keep the level of dopamine up?
Keep doing it. Keep
Yes.
scrolling, or keep up the addiction.
In modern medical science, what is it called?
Addiction?
Yes. Addiction and also dependence. Okay. There are two types. One is this addiction and also the dependence. Okay. Now, when you are strongly focused on that, I'm just asking some questions. Okay. When you are strongly focused on that and you need it, right? Suppose that someone is coming and takes it away from you, what will happen?
It's kind of unsatisfying. And you kind of
Yes,
feel that emotion that, okay, so I'm not happy with that. So you have to get, I need to have that back.
exactly. Have you ever experienced something like that?
Yes.
Yes. Suddenly, suppose that you might have lost your mobile phone or this apparatus and etc. You see the psychological pain that is called distress. Okay, psychological pain that someone is experiencing, right? And that tells us something about the impact of attachment. Do you understand what I say? The impact of attachment. You are glued. We are glued. We are attached by glue. Glue is the word actually. Right? You're glued by this apparatus and these things even without your awareness. Do you understand what I say? Okay. And that's why Buddha says attachment. Buddha says in this word, tanhai jayati soko, tanhai jayati bhaya, which means attachment results in fear and sorrow. Let me repeat it once again, okay? Attachment results in fear and sorrow. Get my point, right? So you can understand that, right? Okay, when it comes to even these even with your example that you have just said, right? And tanhaya vipamuttasya, once this is cut off, okay, once this is uprooted, once the craving or the attachment is uprooted, you don't feel fear and sorrow. That is the result. But one might wonder, how can we uproot this attachment? Don't you have such questions in your mind?
Yes.
At least now, at the very beginning, in my first slide, I mentioned about something called awareness or mindfulness. you can still use it. No problem at all. Even when you tend to suffer in the absence of such apparatus, you will, if you can see the connection between your pain as well as the attachment, you're not driven by your sorrow, you're not driven by your attachment, because you're behind it. Do you understand what I say? That is the importance of being aware of it. You get my point? Is it clear? In most cases, what happens is that at the very beginning, you can see there are 78,000, 80,000 emotions, 80,000 thoughts. And some thoughts ask us to be engaged in certain behaviors. And you just accept whatever that comes to your mind, yes or no? So here, if you switch on the light, what is the light? Awareness or the mindfulness. Then whatever that comes to your mind is filtered through your awareness. That is what the Buddha has said. That is what the Buddha has asked us to do. Not to, not to escape from this, the stuff and etc. Now, it is visible, it is clear, it is obvious that you can't keep yourself away from this apparatus and also the technology. How can we do it? No, you can't do it. You have to even use the latest, the most sophisticated items. Yes, it is. But there is a key point here. What is the key? Awareness, the light. Whatever you do, whatever you say. You get my point? Is it clear what I say?
Yes, very clear.
Okay. Now we have a question. What mindfulness is? Because the word mindfulness is highly misused. Right? In the world. Even mindfulness can be used for unwanted behaviors as well. Suppose that someone wants to rob a bank. Right? If someone wants to rob a bank, even that activity can be done mindfully. Right? Even that can be done mindfully. But that does not result in productive outcomes. Get my point? That does not result in productive outcomes. Do you understand? So, in that sense, we have to be very precise and we have to be very careful in defining what mindfulness is. And don't forget that these are not just mere data. These are not just mere teachings. These teachings are for you to practice, my dear people, right? Even I have to practice, even you have to practice. Otherwise, there is no point. So, what do you mean by mindfulness? So, like I just said, mind is moving like this, going back and forth, results in anxiety and depression. So, if you can anchor your mind in this moment, get my point? The word anchoring, a beautiful word, the word anchoring. If you can anchor your mind in this particular moment, what are the benefits that we experience? You can stay away from anxiety and you can stay away from depression. Do you understand what I say? Here, but if I ask you to come to this moment, can you do it?
Lightly.
Lightly, yes. For example, you can say, I am here and now.
Yeah.
Okay. If you talk to yourself, if you utter to yourself, okay, I am here and now. We'll come to this moment for a while. Yes or no?
Mind is very
Yes or no?
quiet, so you just hear it and you understand it, and then it goes clear.
Yes. Okay. And if I ask you to look around without labeling things and without naming things, just be your observation. You get my
That
point?
seems hard.
Yes. Right? Okay. No need to label. Huh? No need to label. No need to name them. Just observe. Things are there. Things are alive. Even the objects. Okay. They're there. Okay. Now you're here. How is the feeling?
It was very hard. My mind went naming everything that was around me.
That's okay. Now, if your mind is naming things, okay, you just identify the thing that names objects. Do you understand what I said? What it names. Before naming, there is awareness. You get my point? You see a cupboard, you see something. Okay, you name, no problem. Okay. But you are here or not? Yes or no? You have switched on the light. Yes or no?
Yeah, we
Is
have.
it?
Yes.
Yes. Which means, is it difficult?
Not that hard.
Not that hard. Even the thoughts that come to your mind. Now I'm focusing on your mind. Okay. Whatever that comes to your mind, it could be acceptable, it could be unacceptable. Even sometimes we do experience some acceptable as well as non-acceptable thoughts. That's fine. That's okay. No problem. Okay. Okay. Whatever that comes to your mind, just let them come. Let them come. As if the clouds keep coming to the to the sky. Let them come. You don't have to force them. Now they are also as if you are looking at these objects. You just look at your thoughts that keep coming. You get my point? So far, what you have done is you look through your thoughts. There is a difference between looking through and looking at. Clear? Now Dharana, now you are using spectacles, right?
Mhm. Yes.
Okay. Now, so far, you have been looking through your spectacles. Sometimes you don't know. Now, you have no awareness that you're using spectacles. Now, if I ask you to look at your spectacles, you have to take it out and then you have to see somewhere here. Then you don't see through your lenses, but you just look at the spectacles. You get my point?
Yes.
If you metaphorically understand this, right, compare this to a thought. Okay, this is a thought. So far, you have been looking through your thoughts. Do you understand what I say? Even through addictions and also maladaptive behaviors and etc., right? They are governed by these thoughts and these impulses and so on, right? Now, of course, mindfulness in the sense you just look at this, not look through this. Even when you're looking through this, you have this awareness. Okay, I am looking through these lenses. You get my point? I am looking through these lenses. That is the awareness. That is the point. Get my point? Okay. So in that case, mindfulness means moment to moment, non-judgmental awareness. Non-judgmental. Please keep that in your mind. Non-judgmental. Even a judgment comes to your mind, it is under your observation. It is under your awareness. Do you understand? Even the judgment. It is just like a CCTV camera. A CCTV camera is switched on, right? Whatever the object appears in front of the camera, it is visible. But the camera does not will say judge the object that is in front of you. Okay, so in that case, mindfulness is moment to moment, moment to moment, moment to moment. Here and now, I am here. Moment to moment, non-judgmental awareness, but with a purpose. That is so important. With a purpose in the sense, like I said, one can be mindful of robbing a bank too, right? So the purpose is really bad, right? Okay, that does not result in productive outcomes. Here, of course, the outcome, the expectation, the goal is to come up with something productive. Your physical, psychological, and social well-being. Do you understand? Now, when you apply this to modern day or digital era, whatever you use, your apparatus, your digital things, and etc. Even you can use video games, no problem at all. Even we use as clinicians, we use this virtual reality for people who are having social anxiety, right? We ask them to wear them, and we gradually guide them, right? That is there. So that is done on purpose, with a good outcome, with a positive outcome. So in that case, mind is a bad master, but a good servant. How do you make your mind a good servant? Through your mindfulness. Okay, that is the first answer to your question number one. Is there any question?
Yes, I do have Dr. Priyadarshana. Actually, it's a simple question. What should we keep in mind when using Buddhist counseling with digital tools for young people? And how can we share Buddhist teaching in a way that makes sense to the today's youth while staying true to the tradition?
Yes, I guess I have already answered some of. I have already answered.
Yeah, you have answered some
Listen,
of those.
but to move on, now, being culture sensitive. How important it is to be culture sensitive, because nowadays we know that we have discriminations and prejudice, because you will see. All right, Buddha has strongly condemned those approaches, because Buddha was living in an era where Brahmins was having a strong impact on the society. So actually, what the Buddha did was, he did not change the word, right? He changed the content, right? Okay, so in that case, it's just like new wine in the old bottle, right? So which means that he changed the content of certain ideas. So basically, he refused discrimination and prejudice. Even this particular sutta called Vasetta Sutta, Buddha says there are differences in animals, there are differences in trees and plants and etc. So how can we see differences in humankind? There cannot be. But unfortunately, you will see a lot of acts against other races, other religions, and etc. So that is something that the Buddha has denied. Okay, so that's a very important thing. So basically, Buddha has emphasized. Now, your question is focusing on the practitioners as well, right? There can be practitioners too, right? There can be mental health practitioners too. And how do we practice, and how do we help some youngsters in this modern era with the integration of certain Buddhist teachings? Buddha has basically emphasized on empathy. Now, of course, IQ is something that we have developed. Of course, you are really, you're brilliant, frankly speaking, in terms of your level of IQ. Okay, and you're full of data and everything that is there. But have you heard of EQ? That is called emotional intelligence, right? One of the aspects of one of the components of emotional intelligence is empathy. Empathy means it's sort of, if I were on your shoes, sort of, feeling, right? Whether I could feel the same thing that you are feeling, that sort of thing. So Buddha has always emphasized on that, and as a psychologist, I truly and I strongly integrate that particular concept in my practice, as well as my colleagues. They also follow the same. Now, suppose someone is coming to you with some difficulties, first of all, without giving my instructions and theoretically or scientific therapies, I have to open the door to the person first, right? I have to build the rapport first, right? That should be done genuinely. That has to be done genuinely. So empathy has to be there all the time. So I remember when I was working with my medical students there, actually they used, different dummies, right? And once I mentioned, now of course you are using dummies, Now, you will have to practice in the future, right? You're not going to be working with dummies in the future. You will be active with actual people. So in that case, they are alive and they feel pain, and you have to be mindful of that as well, right? Like that, even when it comes to you, you are dealing with other people. Even in this modern era, AI era, still you are dealing with people. EQ is something that we have to take into account. Now, talking about or in giving an answer to a question. Now, so far I have discussed about mindfulness. Now, mindfulness is integrated with modern day therapies, not as Buddhist mindfulness, but secular mindfulness. Okay, just only the difference of the tags. Just only the tags are different. That's all, right? Secular mindfulness, in the sense, like they don't use the term. They don't use the term Buddhist mindfulness, but they just take the essence out of it, and they now integrate with modern day therapies. For example, mindfulness based cognitive therapy, MBCT. Now, so far I have been talking about MBCT without using the label, without talking about mindfulness based cognitive therapy. Now I ask you to be focused on your thoughts and etc. Right? Okay. That is this, the mindfulness. In the meantime, thoughts keep arising. Thoughts keep arising. And you just pick what is beneficial, what is productive, and then you act it out. That is mindfulness based cognitive therapy, cognitive tendency. Do you understand what I say? Suppose you are dependent on certain apparatus or scrolling, you are addicted to it. Now, if you switch on the light, now you see your engagement, and how your engagement is driven by your thought, driven by your neurological pattern. Now you are aware of it. When the awareness is there, now you have an option. Do you understand? You have an option left. Okay, whether this pattern is productive or not, whether this activity makes me healthy or not, if I keep moving in this way, whether it will result in positive outcomes or not, psychologically, physically, and socially. You get my point, right? So there you have mindfulness or the awareness. Awareness is always a step away from these thoughts, emotions, feelings, and etc. Doesn't matter whatever the feel that you have. Even it could be difficult, right? A difficult feeling. That's okay. That's okay. Because it's a natural or spontaneous experience. Even that has to be under the CCTV camera. You get my point. So as long as it is there, you can see this results, this outcome of your thoughts and your actions. It is applicable to each and everything in this world. That is what even modern day practitioners, psychotherapists, they integrate secular mindfulness to their practices, because they have understood the value of mindfulness, not mindlessness. So far, mindlessness has resulted in a number of issues. That's why we have to deal with depressed and anxious people every day, daily. So mindfulness is the key, and that is what you have to do moment to moment, non-judgmental awareness on purpose. I guess you have got the answer.
Thank you so much for such an enlightening presentation and for answering our questions. We really appreciate it.